Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Sadiq Ali. I will be your facilitator towards introduction to Python for machine learning. As you all know, this is a refresher training, so I believe you have a hands-on. So I will be going with an open mic policy, meaning that we all facilitate to make the class more interactive. So I'll go ahead and share my screen now so that we can get started. Thank you. Okay, so let's begin. I believe you can see my screen now. Did someone confirm?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Thank you. So about this code, this course is designed for beginners who want to learn Python with preparing for further studies in machine learning. As we all know, ML 101 want to learn hand-on practice, and as the lead facilitator said that you need a Python in order to know which model you are going to use and the model you choose or Python. So this model is part of ML 101 program offered by Federal University Duce. It focuses on providing you with introduction to Python tailored for machine learning applications. The objective is to introduce you to Python programming fundamentals, which are familiar with, and build a solid foundation to apply it on machine learning. Also equip the student with practical skills for Python. So after in the long run, we will go into. So these are the table of content that I will. First, we will introduce the Python, how it we can utilize to use Python, and then in the second chapter we'll cover variables and data structures. Then the third chapter will cover control structure, how we will control our code. Then in the fourth chapter, we'll cover function for for using uh, use can utilize. And fifth level, which is a numerical computational library in Python. Then we'll close data manipulation and analysis library in Python. So without much of waste of time, we will dive into Python. I believe we had about it. This class is had an open door policy, meaning that I'm not the only one facilitating. We all facilitated. Can someone help me with Python? You can just open your mic and talk. Hello, am I still audible? Okay, Abdullah, are you going to contribute? Okay, then let me continue. Python is a high-level programming language and very versatile. We can use it in almost every field of software engineering, ranging from data science, machine learning, web applications, cybersecurity applications, and many more. It is best known for its simplicity and readability. Python code are very simple. That's why it's applied in almost every field of software engineering, and it's very simple and readability. The Python code is unlike other programming language. It's very simple to read, just like a notebook. That's why it's the best choice and ideal for beginners. Extensive standard library and third-party package to make it powerful tool for solving problems. Library are extension library, so some others library developed by others to ease your work instead of building it from scratch. And third party, you can also make it to make your code powerful. So you are not writing a lot of code. The library will take the tons of code. You are just to call the code and perform the actions. Throughout this course, we will see the fundamental and also practice it. So setting up Python. Python, as I have said earlier, is a programming language. You need to set it up, either download it before you use it. So we can download Python from python.org/download. There are various binary files that you can download for your, depending on your operating system. If you're using Mac, there is specifically for Mac, Windows, Linux, every operating system you're using, there is a Python programming for it. You just visit this website and download it. So with that, we can set up our environment. During the lab session, we will go through it. And also there is IDEs, the integrated development environment, which are tools that provide user-friendly interface for writing and running Python codes. We will use one of it throughout this course, which is Jupyter Notebook. Jupyter Notebook offer interactive notebook style environment, ideal for data exploration and also documentation. With Jupyter Notebook, you are able to document and write and run your code interactively. So there are many ways to run Python. As I have said, there are different tools to use it. So depending on which one you use, then you can run it in one of these three methods. There is interactive mode. Interactive mode is the mode which you write and execute. The more you write, the moment you write your code, you can execute that line of code or execute the whole code interactively while you are seeing the output of code following along. Then there is a script mode. You write the Python script, save it, then you execute it using Python program you downloaded earlier. This will give you the output. This is mostly used during automation, but mostly during machine learning and data science interaction. We use interactive mode so that we will be seeing the output and reiterating the code to find effective method. So there are integrative development environment. As I have said earlier, there are user-friendly tools for writing codes. So we have VS Code, known as Visual Studio Code. It's an it's an IDE that allow you to run Python when you download it on your computer. Also, there is a Jupyter Notebook. This Jupyter Notebook come in different variant. There is the one you will install on your computer, then use it interactively. There is also software as a service provided by Google. We will see Colab in the next slides. So What is Colab? Colab or collaboratory allow you to write and execute Python in your own browser without downloading anything on your device. This means that you will be having a zero configuration required and also access to free GPU, uh, and also easy to share and collaborate with your colleagues while enjoying interactive code written in Python. So this covers the introduction passage, introduction chapter. We'll move on to start getting to know Python better.
Sorry to jump in. Before you can continue, I would just like to reiterate that our instructor have mentioned like the advantages of learning Python, the things that we can use Python to do with, and how we can download Python into our computer before we can be able to use it. But as far as this course is concerned, we are going to adopt the Google Collaboratory Integrated Environment, where we don't need to bother ourselves with installing Python, installing other libraries, dependencies. We don't want that to happen in this course. We don't waste much time during the installation. So we are going to adopt Google Collaboratory. All the classes, examples, and assignments that are going to be given in this course are going to be done in Google Colab. And you're going to see how Google Colab is design and how you can use Google Colab in a bit. So this is just to like save you the trouble that we are not going to perform any installation procedure. We are going to be using Google Colab to write your examples for practical session. And then if you are given assignment at the end of this course, you are going to use Google Colab to write your assignment and then submit your assignment. Thank you. You can continue.
All right, thank you. So we'll move on to chapter 2, which covers variable operators and data structures. So variables, what are they? If we are familiar with any programming, we know what is variable, which are used to store a data. You can assume that variable is a box which you can store an item in it, meaning that you can store a data with it. Different that we have different types of data, and you can store any one of them in the box. As you can see in the illustration, I illustrate variables as a box, and you can insert a number, floating point or decimal point, number or a string of character or a bunch of strings. Variables in Python are created when you assign a value to them, meaning that the moment you assign a value to a variable, you have created it. Unlike in other programming language, you need to explicitly declare a variable before you can use it. In Python, this is one of the features of its simplicity, that you can create a variable during an assignment without worrying of getting an error for undeclared variable. And also in Python, variables are dynamically typed, meaning that you don't need to declare it explicitly before you use it, as I have said. So Python supports various data types or variable types. We have an integer numbers, which include positive and negative numbers, 1, 2, 3, -1, -4, and so on. We have a floating point number, which is called plot. These are decimal numbers with point, like 3.14, a pi number, -0.5, and so on. Then we have a string. String is a sequence of characters going on. As you can see here, we have a hello world. This is a string uh, with double quotation and caps. So also we have a boolean values, which is true or false, which is important when you are making a decision or uh, ascertaining a condition. So more on variables in Python. As I said, variables are used to store data values. Variables are created when you assign them and are dynamically typed. So creating a variable in Python. As I said, you can create a variable by assigning it. The syntax for creating a variable is variable name, then using an equal to sign, then the data you want to assign for that variable. These are some certain rules that you must follow in order to name your variable. To name a variable, but the letter, it can only contain letters, numbers, and underscore. You cannot use any other. You cannot use any other character or any ASCII character that is not among this mentioned, and they cannot start with a number. Variable cannot start with a number, either it start with an underscore or a letter. Variable are also case sensitive, just like some of the password, they are case sensitive. Variable is also a case sensitive. If you start with capital letter, you can't come in and uh, use that variable with the different letter. It will be another different variable. So meaning that they are very case sensitive. And we can also, as the name implies variable, we can reassign it to change the value in a variable. So we'll cover operators, which is second item in this chapter. We have the most common operators we will see later on are arithmetic operators and comparison operators. Arithmetic operation, just like mathematical operators, uh, we can perform any of this in Python using variable or using a data. While comparison operators are used to compare between two or more object variables or lists to ascertain a condition. So let's follow on. Let's start with the arithmetic operators. We have addition. We use the plus sign for addition, minus sign for subtraction, and we use star for multiplication. And division, we use a a forward slash in for division, and exponential is double star we use, or asterisk for exponential values. Then we use double forward slash for integer division. As I have discussed earlier, there are two in data type we have integer and we also have a floating point. In There will be a situation whereby you will divide an integer number and the result will come in as a decimal point. Maybe when you divide 5 into 2, the actual result will be 5 divided by 2.5. But if you use integer division, it will give you an absolute integer instead of a floating point value. Then we have a modulus or remainder operator, which we use a percentage to represent it in Python. These operators act as like a function. They do something and you return value. 1 plus 2, will return a 3. This is how it also works in Python. Then comparison operator, we have a greater than, which is with a symbol here. Then as an example, we can test a condition whereby x is greater than y. Also have a less than. We can use it, x is less than y. We can use equal to, which is represented with double equals to instead of a single. Recall that we use single equals to declare a variable. So when the comparison operator for equal to is double equals sign. As you can see here, we are testing whether x is equals to y. This will return either true or false as a boolean data. Then we have not equals to, which is represented by exclamation, then followed by an equals to sign. This condition test not x is not equals to y. It will also return either true or false. Then we have greater than or equals to, which is represented by greater than and equals to sign. We can see here we are testing that x is greater than or equals to y. This condition will return true if to say x is 5 and y is 5, or x is 7 and 5 is y, meaning that x is greater than y, and also or x is greater than equal to. And we also have a less than equal to symbol, which is represented by less than then followed by equals to. X is less than or equals to y. Then we will move on to cover data structures in chapter 3. So what are data structure? As you all know, machine learning require a data, but we need to structure it so that we can access it, fit our models, and also represent it. Data structures are used to store and organize multiple pieces of data. Variable, we can store some data, but they are not organized. Imagine you are having a data of employee which have an ID, a name, and also the name is first name, middle name, last name. Also having an address which also divided into street and area, maybe with a postal code again, the employee job title, gender. How can we represent this with a variable and also access it using a variable? This is a kind of tuned amount of data that it needs a special or dynamic data structure to hold all this information. Luckily for us, Python provides a several built-in data structure, which include a list, tuples, and dictionaries. Lists are ordered and mutable collection of data. Mutable meaning that you can change it dynamically when you declare it. And also we have tuples, which is immutable, unlike list. In tuples, you cannot modify data after you have declared it. It's like a permanent data. Then we have a dictionary. Dictionary is an unordered collection of key value pairs. Key value pair is a kind of data structure that each uh each data is having a key and also a value. The key is used to access the data. Example, let's say we want to store a contact. A contact is having a phone number and the name. The name can be a key and the value will be a phone number. When you're searching your contact, you will just type the name and the contact will pop up. So let's go through each and every one of this data structure. So list, as I have said, list are ordered collection of items. Lists are one of the most common that use data structures in Python. They are also mutable, which means that you can change their content, and it can contain elements of different types. Recall that we cover data types, which include integer, floating point, string. A list, you can have a integer, floating point, and string at simultaneously in the same list. List can be created by enclosing a square bracket. Square brackets, we can declare it just like we declare a variable. Use the list name, then equals to. Then we use the square bracket, and inside the square bracket, we have the items that will be in the list separated by commas. As you can see here, I declared a list called my list equals to. Then I inserted item in the list, mean 1, 2, 3 to 5. We can also access individual element in the list in a list using indexing. Indexing is how you access your data. A list we use the same process. We use the list name and then we enclose it with a square bracket, then the index of the item we want to retrieve. And the index starts from 0, meaning that the first element will be 0, then the second element will be 1. The count begin with 0. So let's say that we are going to access the list we created above, my list. In order to access 1, which is the first element in the list, we can say the first element equals to my list square bracket then 0. This will bring out will return an output of 1. If we use uh 2 here, if we use index of 1 here, it will return 2. So there are some common operations we can perform in the list. These are the basic uh, method or object method for list. This include append, pop, and remove. We can use these methods to uh to operate to manipulate lists. Like append is used to add an item at the end of the list. Pop is to remove an item from the top or from the end of the list. Then a remove is used to remove an item in an index. We'll look into this in the practical session. Then we will cover the tuples, which are similar to lists, but they are immutable, meaning that you cannot change data after you have declared it. This gives us some certain security of not changing a constant data. Once you define a tuple, you cannot change its element. It's gone. And lists tuples are created by enclosing element in parentheses. Instead of you recall that in list we use a square bracket, while in tuples we use a parentheses. That's the major difference apart from being immutable and the counterpart is mutable. As you can see in the example, we declare a tuple called my tuple, and we use parentheses bracket instead of a square bracket to declare the item in it. The same thing, but accessing is the same thing with that of list. We can access the list using the same method, my tuple, then using a square bracket to access it, using a square bracket to access it using an index. Then the next data structure we have is dictionaries. Dictionaries, as I have said, they are collection of key value space, meaning that each item is having a key and the value to store in. Unlike lists and tuples, dictionaries are unordered, meaning that accessing them from any part is the same time and the same complexity, meaning that no item is ordered at first or second. They are all accessed in the same time. So in dictionary, each element is accessed by its key. They are commonly used to store data and retrieve data with associates with its ID. Imagine you're having employees, you can store their data with their ID. Anytime you want to access that employee, you will just use that ID to retrieve the employee data. We will explore this also in our collab lab session. Then how do we create and use dictionary? In dictionary, we use curly braces to declare a dictionary. As you can see below, we declare a dictionary equals to, then we use curly braces. This is the key name, which is an integer string type. Then we use a colon to specify the data for this key or the value for this key. Then we use a comma to separate one item from the other. Then we also declare another item edge, and the value is 30. You can see also dictionary can contain different data types. Then we use a city key to save data of New York. Then as I have said, accessing the key is use accessing the dictionary values is using the key. You can use the same thing using a square bracket. Then instead of using index, you are to use the key of the item you want to access. You can see we want to access name here. We use my dictionary, then a square bracket, and then the key, which is name. This item will return John, which is the value for that key. So we will move on to chapter 4, which are control structures. We will learn how conditional statement work, looping, and also how to control the flow in our code to make an effective decision. So starting with conditional statement in Python, conditional statement allow you to make decision in your program. Imagine trying to ascertain if this is true or not. We use conditional statement. Consider this algorithm. You want to know whether A is true, then to perform some certain action. We use conditional statement to this. If A, imagine if A is true here, then we will go for B. If A is not is false, then we will go for C. Having this will make our code to be decision that to make a dynamic decision. So in Python we use if, elif, which is a short for else if, and also else to control flow of our code. If if used to ascertain some condition, then execute your code or not. Elif used to use after if to execute some certain conditions that are not met in the if, then else will be executed when none of the condition are executed. So this is a fundamental block of conditional logic in Python programming. We'll look into it, if statement, elif, and else, and how all work. So using if statement, you can see this is an example of Python temperature. You're having a temperature 25, and you want to compare whether today is a hot day or not. Recall that we cover comparison operators less than, greater than, equals to, not equals to. We use them to ascertain condition in if. Okay, Ismail Ibrahim raised his hand. Um, please let me unmute you, then you can start speaking. Go ahead, Ismail.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Fine, sir. Do you want to ask me anything?
No, I saw that you raised your hand.
No,
Is there any
that
question
was a
you would like?
mistake. That was a mistake.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, thank you.
All right, no problem.
So, as you can see, we declare our variable of temperature with a value of 25, and we want to confirm if the day is hot or not. We use if statement here. We say if temperature is greater than 30, then the day is hot. It will print out the code block inside the if statement. We can see that here we leave a space. Python is use indentation instead of bracket to identify block of code. So this one will not print it is hot today. Why? Because the temperature is less than 30. This code will only execute if temperature is greater than 30, meaning that it will execute from 31 and above. This is how we declare we this is the syntax for if statement in Python. Let's see a complex case whereby we will use else, if, elif, and else statement at once to make a code have a multiple or dynamic decisions. So elif, I have said, is else if is another method to add more condition when if is not fulfilled. Basically, in other programming language, when if condition is not fulfilled, automatically the interpreter will go to else statement. But in Python, if the if condition is not fulfilled, we will go into else if to test another condition. Then if that did not compute, then we'll go into uh, else statement. By the way, you can have a lot of else if statement as much as you can before you go into else statement. These are more complex conditional logic in our code. We can test as many conditions as we want. It can be used to check multiple conditions sequentially. Then else provide a fallback option when no previous condition is met. So the syntax is if condition, then you declare the condition. The condition is to test two or more uh, comparisons. Then you have a column, then you move on to the next line, and that will be in the code block you want to execute the when if condition is fulfilled. Then you can declare your elif condition, then also use some certain condition. Then after that we will go to else statement, which execute or fallback when no previous condition is met. So here is a code snippet of testing an edge. You can see we said if edge is less than 18, then we'll print that you are minor. When the code is not, when this if statement is not executed, then we'll move on to elif, which say else if edge is greater than or equals to 18 and edge is less than 65, you are adult. Otherwise, then the fallback condition with else is print you are a senior citizen. So this code, as we can see, we declare a variable edge equals to 18, and when the interpreter will read this as 18 greater than 18, which is certainly false. Then this code block will not be executed. It will skip it and go into the elif. Elif condition say edge, which is 18, is greater than or equals to 18. So the condition is met, meaning that uh, edge, which is 18, and also 18 equals to 18. Then this condition have been met. Then we say and edge is less than 65. Also 18 is less than 65. Then the code will print you are an adult. Then we have an else statement, which is fallback here, which says you are a senior citizen. This code will not execute because we already execute the code block in our elif. Conditional statement can only execute a single uh, condition that is met at first. Then we move into loops. Loops allow you to execute block of code repeatedly or iteratively. Imagine you have something that you will do it 100 times in your code. You have to iterate that thing 100%, 100 times. Instead of writing the code and copy and paste it 100 times, loop will actually save your time and execute that code with an addition of conditions that you will declare, and it will stop when that condition is met. So let's see the algorithm or flowchart of this loop. When it starts with initialization expression. Expression here are conditional statement. As we discussed, you can see in the if statement we use conditional statement. Edge is less than or equals to certain values. Then we execute the code. If this condition met, then the loop will run the code block within it. Block of statement here, then it will update that expression, maybe to add it or decrease it. Then it go back to that condition and test it. If it has been met, then it will execute it until that condition become false. Then the code will stop. This gives us a sequence of instruction that continuously repeated until certain condition is reached. Python supports two types of loops, for loops and while loop. The for loop are used for iterating over sequences. Imagine you have a list. We discussed list as a data type earlier. You have a list with sequence of numbers there, and you want to perform an operation on each and every that number. You can iterate these numbers through for loop. Then we have a while loop. While loop continuously execute a code as long as some certain conditions are true. From the moment that condition uh, reach to false, it will not continue to execute that code. We will explore this also during our practical session. Let's have some code snippet. Okay. So this is a code snippet for for loop and while loop. As you can see in for loop, we use the keyword for, then item, then the sequence that we want to iterate. Imagine this sequence is a list. We will just imagine that for an item in this list, execute the code in this block. Then we write some code to maybe print out that item or perform some arithmetic operation or any other thing in the code block with that item. So let's have an example. We declare a list containing a fruit. We can see we have apple, banana, and cherry. Then here we declare a for loop which include we this is an item in the fruit. We said put fruits in fruits. This is our list here. Then print fruit. This will print apple, banana, and cherry sequentially. Then while loop, we declare it using a while condition, while keyword, then a condition. This condition can be maybe edge is greater than 7, or edge is any condition that will return true or false. Then the condition will continue to run until that condition becomes false. Mikey, we should note that if that condition did not reach false, then the code will continue to execute, which may return a runtime error when the code continuously to execute for a long time, meaning that you should have a condition to stop the code or break the code while it gets executed. As we can see here, we declare a variable called 0, and we say while count is less than 5, print count, then print the number here. Then here we will use plus or equal to add 1 to the variable. In the first, let's go on iterate. Count is 0 here. It tells the condition count is less than 0. Count is less than 5, which is true. Then it will print count, then 0 here. Then this last statement will add 1 to the count, which make it to become 1. Then the while loop will also tell this 1 is less than 5. Then it will execute the code continuously until count become 4, which will become 5, which is not less than 5. Then the condition return false, and the while loop will stop from there. Okay, we move on to chapter 5, which covers on function and models. With functions and model, we can build a reusable code and also import other models that are built by others or third parties, as I have discussed, which is one of the most important feature of Python. Majority of the code you will use during your journey in machine learning, you are not the one you write it, you just import it, then use it. This saves a lot of time. With function and models, we will cover this. So what is a function? A function is a block of code a block of reusable code that performs some specific tasks. Imagine a function as a machine. You put on an item, then it returns it performs some tasks on that item, then it will bring it return something to you. Or let's say a printer. We can use a printer as one a function. You send a program, then it return. You send a printing, then it return a paper to you. So I illustrate an example. Look at this apple. They are freshly entered into a function. Then the function cut it into half. This is the task the function perform. So in programming language, also we have a function. You can either create your function or use a built-in. There are a lot of built-in functions developed by built-in function which are already in the Python. You will just call them. Okay, someone in the group is asking, sorry, to clear the difference between the for loop and while loop. Okay, let me go back to that slide one more time. Okay, starting from here, for loops are used to iterate over sequences. Sequence is like a numbers going from 1 to maybe 10, or a list which contains sequence of items in it. Recall that the data type the list data structure we covered include a sequence of items starting from index 0 up to where it stops. Also, string has an index. So for loop iterate over this item and run some certain code that you declare. Then when this item are finished, the items in the list are finished, the for loop will stop executing the code you declare. Meanwhile, while loops continue to execute a code until a condition is met. Maybe you say buy more eggs until account balance is 0. This code will continue to buy eggs until you have a 0 account balance. This will stop it. Otherwise, if you have millions of naira in your account, it will continue to buy eggs, buy eggs, buy eggs until your balance is 0. This is a difference. For loop depend on the sequence of items that are mentioned that are declared with it, while loop is based on the condition until that condition is false. So let's check it on this code. Maybe it will be you can see in the for loop here there is a list declared for fruits, include apple, banana, and cherry, meaning that there are 3 items. So this for loop, it said that for fruit inside fruits. So meaning that each and every fruit we have 3 fruits, so it will run 3 times. And the operation, the code inside the polo is print fruit. This will print the first fruit, second fruit, and third fruit sequentially, as the polo only contain 3 items. You can also declare a number, like you can use ranges. We will see that during the practicals. We can not only iterate through a sequence of items, we can declare our own. We can say to run this for loop 100 times using range. Meanwhile, the while loop, you can see here, they said while count is less than 5, execute the code inside this block. It means that if condition continuously is true, it will run this code without counting the numbers or without having anything to stop it unless that condition is stopped. In for loop, this condition will stop immediately after we reach cherry because it only have uh three items in it, while the while loop will continuously to execute until count is less than 5. But You can see pipe count is already less than pipe when we declared it is 0, but this last statement, count plus equals to 1, used to add count to add 1 to the value of count, which will make it up to become 5. When it become 5, the condition will stop. Okay, um, Lanzine, please confirm if this has been clear your doubt. I can see that the lead facilitator already uh, answered the question in the chat session. Then we will continue, I think, from here. Okay, thank you, Lanzine.
You
So
can continue.
we can go back and continue with functions. As I have said, function are a block of reusable code that we can use continuously as long as we declare them. So function performs some tasks. You give it an item and it will do some function or task, then it will return something. This allows you to organize your code, make it readable, and avoid the repetition. Imagine you are to uh, do a task that 100 times. There, you can just do a function instead of doing that task 100 times or copying it and paste it 100 times. You'll just call the function every time you need to do that task. It's just like buying sorry, it's just like buying it's just like buying a washing machine. Anytime you want to wash, instead of washing with yourself, you just put on the clothes, add on detergent, put on a timer, then the washing machine will do the work. Every week, maybe if you are washing weekly, the washing machine will help you to do that instead of taking washing it yourself each and every week. This is how functions work. So in Python, to create a function, we use def, which is a short for define. We use def, then followed by the function name and parentheses, then to have a argument inside the function. Argument as the input you argument are the input you insert into the function. So example, when you are having a function for washing washing machine, of course you will have, so you will use to add a time, after time maybe a detergent, or the nature of this work, it is rock or soft. So function also include argument or parameters that you will insert. These are the input of the function, then also return a value. So the definition of the function, we use def, then the function name, then parenthesis bracket. Then if we have a parameter which is optional, you can declare it inside the parenthesis. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. Then the function body follow on. If the function is returning something, then we return the value we want. The code snippet by our left is a function we see. We define function greet, then it takes an input of a name, then it return hello plus name, then plus exclamation. This is what the function do. That every time you call this function with different name in its in this parenthesis bracket, it will return hello, then the name you put, the input name you inserted during the declaration. Let's see an example. You see an example here. We have a message which is equal to greet. Then this greet is a function. As you can see, we use our parentheses, and inside the parentheses are the argument or parameters we pass. The perimeter here is Alice. So this function will return hello Alice, then exclamation. We'll see this when we go into our practical session in the color. Then Built-in function. What are they? So as we said during the introduction, Python provides a well built-in function that perform common tasks, not just common, even advanced tasks. So this function can be used without the need for you to define them. As you can see in the previous slide, we declared a function we declare the function, then we come and use them. Meanwhile, built-in function, you don't need to declare them before you use them. They are already been in the form. They are already built in the Python. So these are the common example of built-in function that we have been using already in our program. You can see here we have a print function which is used to display output. Then we have a len function. This len function return the length of sequence. If you pass a list, it will return the length of item in the list. And we also have a sum function which return the summation of a list or function. So in some function, you pass either list or tuples. And in length function, you can you can use it with parameter in its arguments such as list or string. It will return the actual length of that string or list. So these are the example of list we are having built-in function. You can see we have a name. We declare a variable equals to Alice. Then in that variable, we have in that variable we use print function to print name, then that variable. Then we use length to see the length of that variable. We already know that length contain Alice. Alice is 5 word, a 5 character word. So this length will return 5 character. Will return 5 as the output of the length function. Then we will also use some function without declaring it. You can see we have a list contain numbers called numbers containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, Zainab is saying she can't see it. Okay, it's not part of the class. So we have a list called numbers which contain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we declare a variable, say sum of numbers. Then we use a sum function and use an argument as numbers. This will return the summation of items in that list. So important and using models. In Python, there are tons of models, either internal or provided by third parties that you can import. We'll be importing a lot of our, uh, we will be using import during the machine learning session to import a lot of libraries for machine learning and data manipulation. So Python models are collection of related functions and code that can be reused in different program. Imagine you have a code in one of your program and you want to use it in this program. You will just import it without copying and pasting it. You will import it and you will be using it there. Also, there are third parties that provide that already built in the code. You will just maybe download it. Since we are using Colab, we don't need to download them. We will just declare them. They are already the packages are already there. We'll import it. If we import it, this will allow us to access additional functionalities that is not available in the built-in function. The notable one we will use here are NumPy and Pandas. NumPy is a numerical completion uh, package library, and pandas is a library for data manipulation and analysis. So in the code snippet here, we have you see, and we can use import statement to import a model followed by the name of the model we want to import. Here we said import mass. Mass is a built-in model that is already in the Python, so we don't need to either download it or install it using a package manager. So import mass. Then if we didn't import mass, we can't use the square root. Then we say result is equal to mass dot square root. We can use one of the two methods for import. One is import, then the library name. Then we can use import mass as, then you give it a name. This is to maybe short the name or use a familiar name. You can say import mass as ms or something like that. Then instead of using mass when you are using it, you will just use ms. We will see that during the practical also. So we go into chapter 5, which is NumPy and array. NumPy is a fundamental library for numerical operation. So we are going to dive into machine learning. There is a need to perform numerical operation. So we will go through the basics of NumPy. So what is it? NumPy actually stands for numerical Python. It's a powerful library for numerical and array-based operation. What is an array? Array is a sequence of values, just like a list. A list, by the way, in Python there is no built-in array. It's called list, unless you want to declare it using NumPy or other third-party libraries that provide it. So NumPy provide support for large multidimensional array and matrices along with collection of mathematical functions. So it also includes linear algebraic functions and computations that you can use. Instead of you building it from scratch, you'll just call in the function or the operation you want to perform using NumPy package. This package is a fundamental library for data scientists, machine learning expert, and scientific computation also. So the array provided by NumPy is called ND array, n-dimensional array, meaning n-dimensional started or multi-dimensional array. Are also faster, mostly faster 100 up to 100 times faster than the normal code in the Python you write if you use NumPy. We will explore its capability later in the Python notebook for Colab. So I started discussing about n-dimensional array. N-dimensional array is a multi-dimensional container of items of the same type and the same size, defined by its shape of the array, the kind of item the array is composed of, the shape of the array. We use tuple to declare the shape of the array. And recall that this is multidimensional. It can be one-dimensional, two-dimensional, three-dimensional, just like matrices, if we can recall in linear algebra classes. So it will be having a rows and columns since it's a multidimensional, starting from 1 to 2. You can see here in the code snippet here, uh, we import the NumPy as NP. We short it as NP here. The actual name is NumPy. Then we short this as NP. Then we said array equals to NP dot array. Here we are creating a NumPy array with a single dimension, which contain 1 to 5 here. This is how we declare it. And in the second code snippet here, we import numpy as np. Then we declare an array called a with 2 dimension, which consists of 2 columns and 3 rows. You can see it here. The first list inside the tuple is the first column. Then the second one is which contain 1, 2, 3, and the second list is the second column which contain 4, 5, and 6. So there are some basic operations we can do with NumPy arrays. This wide range of mathematical and element-wise operation, which include but not limited to addition, subtraction, multiplication, and more. This NumPy simplify this complex numerical computation. Imagine you are tasked to perform to find a determinant of matrices in dynamic array with fixed size and large dimension. This will take you a lot of time to do it, but with NumPy you will just declare the dimensional array, then you perform it just like a normal operator. This array plus this, it will give you an output. You can see here we declare 2 arrays. One is R1, which contain 1, 2, 3 in it, and we declare the second array, which contain 4, 5, 6. Then we want to perform a matrix operation of addition here. We use we should just say that this array plus this array, it will give us the output. Even if you have a multi-dimensional array, the same approach will use. This will save you a lot of time. So NumPy is a huge library that we need to go into its documentation and example. Here I'll provide you with official documentation, a book on NumPy, and some of the example. We will also see some of the examples in the lab session. So these are some of the operation. Some are more example on NumPy. You can see here we declare a long array, and we and also find the mean of this array. No matter how long it is, NumPy will take the complexity and perform it efficiently. We find the mean of array and the median of it, and also we can define the data. So the last chapter, this will be the sixth chapter, which cover a pandas library. Pandas is a Python library that provides easy to use data structure and that we use for data manipulation and analysis. Pandas deal with series and data frame. We'll look into it just now. Uh, so series and data frame are the two components of pandas. Series is like a column, essentially a column, just a straight data, while data frame is a multidimensional table made just like data frame is just like an Excel file or a comma separated file, which include rows and column with a cell. We'll look into this example. You can see that series just contain a column, a straight column. Sorry, contain a straight column, while a data frame contains 2 or more columns with rows and column. So we will be importing a lot of data. So yes, you know, machine learning is paired with data. Models are paired with data. So you will be using pandas to import your data, pre-process it, clean it, manipulate it, then pass it to the model and extract. And then later on, you will also use it when the model provide an output to maybe analyze it and maybe export it. So there are many ways we can create a data frame. We can create it from a simple dictionary. We cover a data structure of dictionary, which is a key value pairs. But first, before we do that, we must import pandas as it's a library. We must import it into our own code in order for us to use it, just like we import NumPy. So first, when we import it, we can either import the data we have in Excel or JSON format or other format. Panda support tons of format. So depending on the option we have, either we create the data frame in the Python code, or we import it as a file. So here we are using a dictionary to create a data frame. As you can see here, we have a data which is a dictionary include apple, and apple contain its values as a list. Then we have another one content which is orange, and orange contain its value as a list of numbers 0, 3, 7, and 2. Then after we created this dictionary, we can pass it to become a data frame for pandas. We use this abbreviation df mean data frame. Then we say equals to pd. As you can see earlier, we import pandas as pd. So every time we want to use that panda or access any of its method, we will use pd dot that method. Here we use pd dot data frame, which is a function. Then we pass in the data frame here. This is the first example of how we use create a data frame. The next example we will see is how we can import the data frame we already have uh, as a CSV, comma separated value, which we mostly use during a machine learning model. So let's see how we reading data from comma separated value CSV. You can see here is an Excel file, CSV value. With this, you will just have to have the code in the same folder with your Python script, or you upload. Since we are using uh, Colab, you will just have to upload the data into the Colab. Then you can reference it in the code. Here we import pandas as pd. Then here we say data frame is equals to pd dot read csv. This is the function for reading a comma separated value. We have other functions to read files, which include read Excel, read JSON, JavaScript object notation, and a lot of many data types that are supported by pandas. Here we put on the path or the file name of the data we want to access. So as we can see, we already create our data frame here. So how do we view this data after we have created it? So in order for you to view this data, you will use if you are using a notebook, you will just type the data frame name and it will display the data. But we should note that some of the data we will be using have thousands of rows and columns. So it's not advisable for us to be opening the complete data. Here comes into our help a function or a method of data frame called head. This will this will print out few rows in the of the data head. When we use data frame dot head, it will just display some few rows so that we can review it and know what you're working with. You can also assign an argument the number of rows you want the head to display. By default, I'll output the first 5 rows in the data frame. So if you want to see the data at the last 5 rows of your data, you can use tell, which will default it. Also, you can specify the number of rows you want to see. So we will answer questions here. Then we move on to the lab session, and then we have a discussion from the lead facilitator. Then for your assignment also, if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask. I can see. Okay.
Hello,
Hello. Good morning.
Sadiq. That's a wonderful presentation. But my own is just here to give encouragement to the ladies on this. I will first try to be biased, then I will then try to be inclusive. Biased in such a way that I will if they have any question regarding anything, I will possibly later in the day today create a WhatsApp group this in the ML 101. Then we'll have a conversation WhatsApp group. Whether if they have any difficulties in the they wanted to ask, they are feel free to just drop it in the WhatsApp group, and I'll be here for them for the whole subsequent 8 months to come. Then in the advice, we really need participation of females in this journey of data science and AI in general. And in all, I encourage each and everyone to please do his assignment. Try to attend because I'm keeping track of attendance from the beginning of the lecture and towards the end of the lecture. If I will be taking record of each of these 2 moments. So if it tends to meet lecture for a month, so you have to bear it in mind that you don't have a subscription for that particular month. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Fatima. This is a world encouragement. We all appreciate it, and especially the females who have an additional opportunity to get hands on with Fatima. I believe they will have a good interactive session with you. Thank you. Then I see Salis Ibrahim raise his hand. Please, you can unmute yourself and start speaking.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. My question is regarding, even though I just seen that we're going to move to the lab session, which I know definitely my question will going to be answered there. But since it has been said, let me just ask it. The question I'm trying to ask is during the uploading the data frame on our coding. Like one example, we see df.pd read CSV. So on that CSV file, as we said now, if for example we want to our data file data type, or I can say yeah format is not to a CSV, is let's say we can say it's Excel. So how do we specify the Excel there? Is it the complete name of Excel, or is just the extension as we normally know on the extension of Excel file? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Salis. As I have said, there are a lot of methods in data frame, in pandas that you can use to read data. One is read, is data pd.read CSV, and also for Excel there is pd.read Excel. Excel engine is different from CSV. CSV is a comma separated delimiter, but in Python, Excel are read by open Excel X file, which are different. So you will use read Excel then inside your data if you're using Excel, not read CSV.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And also the guys, not only the ladies, because I just had now I just more concerned on ladies. So we guys also we need to wake up.
Okay, you guys, you need to wake up. I wish I myself want to be in that one-on-one session with Fatima, but she only said female, gender inclusion.
So you are also
So
going there.
I wanted to. How I wish they will allow me to be part of that session. So, is there any question, or we go or take a break? Maybe I don't know if the lead facilitator is here, or we can just start our journey in the lab session.
Yeah,
Hello.
I'm asking if there is any question or comment before we can commence the practical session. This is your opportunity to ask for questions and make your comments before the practical session. Uh,
Hello.
yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Nice, and I like to say well done for the presentation. But I have one question that I'm trying to ask, but you just you just skip the place.
Okay,
Okay,
go ahead.
My question is that function that you are explaining,
Mhm. Go ahead with your question.
like the example is using. Can you hear me?
Yes, come
Hello.
again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, my question is that function that you are explaining, you just give us example, uh, within outside the context of what we are learning. Since we are learning programming, I think we should have some examples of programs, like similar programs that are using the same thing. So I think this will keep our brain within the context of what we are learning.
Okay, thank you.
oh,
That will be handled
okay,
in the practical session.
okay, thank you. Then Akanti also raised his hand, followed by Abdurrahman Hussein. Akanti, you can go ahead and ask your question. Akanti,
Sorry, can you hear me
I
now?
think yes, we can hear you.
Okay, okay. Good morning, everyone. It has been a wonderful session, and thank you so much, Sadiq, for all that you made here. So, my own is just a little bit encouragement as we are about to dive into the live and practical session. I want to call the attention of all the attendants here, like to open our mind, to explore, to learn, and not to stick only to what will be taught in this, session. Let's learn outside the box. That will help us really. So let's practice that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Akanti. Then the next is Abdurrahman Hussein. Okay, Abdurrahman, you can ask your question, please. Okay, I think if Abdurrahman is not with us, we will just move on to the lab session.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam, Abdurrahman, we can hear you.
My question is about the timing, class timing,
Okay,
because I
class
can see
timing
it's
is two
already
hours.
30 something minutes past 11. So, and before we started, I think they said it will be from 10 to 11.
No, the class time is 2 hours, 10 to 12.
It's 2 hours, 10 to 12. Oh boy. Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Okay, I think we can go ahead with the uh, lab session.
Yeah, I think you can proceed to the live session to save more time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, as we discussed about Collab, which is the integrated notebook or integrated development environment we will be using throughout this course, we will dive into it. The link is collab.google. You can see here it's saying open Collab, a new notebook. So here we'll open Collab and see what we have there. Then we'll move on. This is a welcome session. I will.
I'm sorry to interrupt. The practical session is going to be interactive. If you are joining us via a computer or a smartphone, we kindly suggest you minimize the video call tab and then you jump into your Google browser, Chrome or Firefox. Then you type callab.google so that you can follow. As the instructor is doing the practical session, you will be doing it on your own. So just open your browser, type callab.google, select new notebook so that you will see the environment. You get yourself familiarized with the environment so that you shouldn't run into trouble when later on you are given assignments to do in Colab and then you will be running with complaints that you cannot do this, you cannot do that. So I suggest you open another tab in your browser and you type Colab.google so that and you select new notebook so that you and the facilitator will be on the same page. Thank you.
Okay, I will be giving 1 minute for you to follow along. Okay, then let's start it with the notebook. So this is a welcome note by the collab team. It will it's also serve as documentation. I will advise you to go through it later on. But here, as you can see, it's just like a code editor. Here we have a file, edit, view, insert, runtime, tools, and help. Here in Pile, you are able to open or create new or open new notebook. You can also upload it if you have it. We will share an interactive notebook later on that you can use. Edit here, you create a cell. By the way, Collab is based on cell. Each line of code is treated as a cell, and you can select a cell and run it and run that only cell. So view here, if you want to see the execution instruction, as you know, Collab is a software as a service, so it handles the runtime and provide the Python environment for you. You just need to do the code. So here we can see the runtime where we can connect and maybe change the runtime when the session expires. We'll look into it. Now here we will create a new notebook. Okay, when I click on create a new notebook, it open a new tab. So I will have to switch from tab to I have to switch the tab so that you can see it. I hope you are following along with me. So this is a notebook in our Python in our Colab environment. You can see the name Untitled1 pynb. This is a Python notebook extension, ipynb. Then we will name it lab. This will be saved automatically after we save it. Then from the left, if you can see my mouse, there is a connect. This will allow us to run the environment that we can uh, execute our code. If we click connect, it will initialize, then and start running. Then we are able to run the code on the go. Are we all following along? You can see it's connected to Python console. So this environment, we can write our code, any Python code there, and you can execute it by clicking here or in runtime and click on run all or run before or run the focus cell you are working on. Starting with the famous function, which is print. We discussed it, print, display, and output. Let's type on hello world. When we click on run, it will execute our code. You can see the output here. That's why we call it an interactive integrated development environment. You write the code and it executes the line in real time, and it will display the output, and that output will also be set for your reference. We can also write a text, maybe for documentation. Here I'm writing a text, not a block of code. It has two type of block. As you can see here, there is a code and this is a text. With text, you can write some documentation that will help you to understand what you are doing and help your colleagues that you collaborate with to know what you have did in the code. Documentation, it also have a format. You can see I can do bold, italic, code snippet, add a link, image, and so on. Okay, let's cover data types. We have an int, we have a float, then we have a string. So here I will declare a variable of integer type. As you know, in Python, we declare variable when assigning it. I will call it my var1, which means my variable one. Recall that there are some rules of how you declare variable. It cannot start with numbers, and it can only contain number, underscore and numbers, then letters, yeah. And it can only start with either underscore or letters. So here I assigned a variable called my var, and the data in that variable is 1. So I executed it, but nothing happened. Why? Because I just assigned the variable. I didn't print it out or display it or perform any action with it. In the next cell, I will call the variable my var. We should also recall that variables are test sensitive, meaning that if they start with capital letter, it should be exactly as it is. You see, my var is different from my var. If I do this, an error will be the output because they are not the same. You see, my var is not defined because of it is just sensitive. But if I leave it as my var here, so let's also cover on, we use hash to delete a comment in our code. If you use hash, this will make your code easy and readable in your Python code. We use it for comment. Let's say variable can't start with number. Then here we try to declare variable one var and see what will happen equal to 12. It will return an error of bad name or invalid decimal literal, meaning that variable cannot start with name. Then let's declare more variables. Let's say my var2 equals to 2 and my var3 equals to 2.5. This is a plot. This is a plot variable, plot data type. So let's save it. Then we perform some arithmetic operation with these three variable and also comparison operators. Let's say my var1 plus my var2 okay. You see my var is not defined. Recall that when I run this function, I change my var to be a capital, so I need to reinitialize it because the code go and run from top to bottom and it doesn't record when you execute a single cell. So here when I run my var, it's saying my var is not defined. Maybe I made an error. Here my var equals to 1. So I had a silly mistake here. I said my var, this is my var, and what I'm calling here is my var equals to my var1. So this will return the total value plus my var plus this. We can operators. I hope you are following along. Is anybody following along with us? We can also say my var times 15. This will return 1 times 15, which is 15. So these are the basic operators we can perform, basic arithmetic operators we can perform. We can use division, my var divided by 1 divided by 2. You see, it's returned the last one, which is 0.51 divided by 2. So let's look into comparison operators. We can we can test this condition whether my var is greater than is less than my var2. My var2 this condition will return true or false, which is a boolean. You see it's true. My var greater than my var2. Or we can also say my var. You recall that when we are doing an equals to comparison, we use equals to, not single equals. My var 3 This will return false if they are not in the same. You see, it return false. So I think we have covered variable and operators. This maybe we'll look into data structure starting from list, tuple, and then dictionary. After that, then we will dive into. We have a prepared notebook for this practical with documentation on it. Then we will share it, and we can continue with that. So let's begin with list. We can declare a list using the list name, then my list, let's see, equals to, then using a square bracket. Inside the square bracket, it will be the element, let's say 1, then separated by comma 2, 3, 4, 5. We declare this list. If we execute, nothing will happen because it's just declaration. We didn't call it, but here we can call my list, and it will show the item inside it. What if you want to access the third item here? Recall that indexing start with 0. So if we are accessing the third item, this is item in 0 index, this is in first index, this is in second. So we are accessing it through second index. So here we'll call the list my list, and since we are accessing the third element, which is in position of 2, you see how it is. We can recall the built-in function we discussed, len, which return the length of iterative. So let's try and run len with a list, with our list in is, to see what it will return. My list, this will return the length of the list. You can see we have 5 elements in it, so we expect it to return 5. So after list, we discussed about tuples. We said the main difference between list and tuple is that lists are mutable while tuples are immutable, meaning that in tuples you cannot change the data when you declare it, and lists are declared using using square bracket, while tuples are declared using parentheses. So let's start with tuple. Let's say tuples. Tuples are immutable. Then we declare our tuple. My tuple 1 equals to, sorry, we don't use a square bracket in declaring tuple. We use parentheses. Then inside the parentheses, we declare that we declare the items for that list. We say 1 and separated by comma 2, 3, 4, 5. So this declare our list. So let's try and access the item in this tuple, my tuple. Then let's access the second item, which is in first in index 1. It will return 2, you see. But let's try and change item in change the item in tuple and batches. Let's change a list. If we my list, we can change the item in position 0 before we have a 1. Then if we change it to another value, the change will take effect. In 0, we can say equals to 99. Sorry. In 0 equals to 99. So my list zero. Let's see what is here. Before it's one, and now we are seeing it is 99. And when we also check on the whole list, we'll see it starts with 99 instead of one. You see the change take an effect. Let's see when we try to do this in tuple. So my tuple, let's change the item in position one, which is one. This will up. Let's see what will happen. You see, it's throw an error. Tuple object does not support item assignment. You cannot assign an item when you already declared a tuple. So let's leave this error for our reference. So the next data structure we have is dictionary. Recall that dictionary is a key value data type, meaning that it has a key and a value. We access the data from the key and we declare it using a curly braces. So let's declare a dictionary called my. Then we cover an example. We declare it with this. Either we can declare it here, then we assign the values later on, or we declare it direct. Let's try to do this separately. This we declared it, but it's an empty. So when we access it, it won't be having an element. You see, it's an empty dictionary. It just return the braces. So we can assign elements to it. My then in the call in the square bracket we assign the item. Let's say name. Then we say equal to the name we want. Alice. And when we call the dictionary, it will show that we have an item name. When we call the name here, it will return the name of the we serve, which is Alice. So here I'm running it. You see it return an Alice. We can also explicitly declare dictionary with it item on it. Let's declare this one. Let's say we have a dictionary containing an employee's data. So let's say the name of the dictionary is employee equal to, then here inside this we will put on the key values separated by commas. Let's say the name of the employee. Then here the name will be Ahmad. Then let's say department. Department, let's say ML, stand for machine learning. Then edge, we said 20. Then we can also use the list, maybe foot or hobby. We can use hobby here. Then we declare a list inside the dictionary. Hobby. Then we declare a list inside here. We can mention the hobby. Let's say coding, research, and maybe gaming. These are his hobby. So you can see we explicitly declare it. We explicitly assign the data during the declaration. When we run this, it will return any output, but we can access this. Let's say we want to access employee employee age. We'll just call the employee. You'll just call on employee. Then in the key of the data you want to access. Here we want to access the employee age. We should also note that key are case sensitive. Edge with capital A is different from edge with lower edge. So here when we run this code, it will return 20 as the edge for the employee. So let's see what will happen if we try to run this. You see it return uh, key error here saying that the key does meaning that the key doesn't exist because it's case sensitive. What if you want to access the item in this list? This list is inside a dictionary, so it's like a book inside a book. So we have to access the dictionary first, then we access the key. Let's see how we'll do it. So employee, let's say second employee hobby. Then we first need to access the hobby with the key hobby. Then inside hobby, it's a dictionary, right? Let's run the hobby and see what it will return. It will return the complete dictionary, but we need the second hobby, which is in the first in the one index. You see, it return all. Then if we are to access the dictionary, you know that we are accessing dictionary also use the list using square brackets. So we assign the index number, which is 1, since it's begin with 1. This will return a research. You see, it just returned the research. So this cover of data structure and then data structure, then we will write some function as one of the audience mentioned he need a practical function. So let's try to create a function. So let's say we have a list. Okay, there is already a built-in function that perform a list. Let's say we have a list and we want to find the average of that list. Repeatedly, you are a data entry and you are a secretary and in the primary school, and you want to find an average of each and every student in the class. So instead of finding the average one by one, you can create a function, then pass that list. The function will return the average for you. You will just need to be changing the student dictionary, the student list. So let's first create let's say student one with 5 course. So we inside here we'll put underscores for you. Say assume 20, 50, 30, 70, and 35. Then the second student who is having 25, 7, 45, 23, and 80. So you want to find an average of the student, assuming there are 100 of them. Instead of writing a code for each and every one, you can write a function for finding an average. Then you can be reusing that code. You can be reusing that code. You can be reusing that code every time you want to find an average. Let's run this. Then we create the function. Recall that we use def to define a function. Let's say student avg abbreviation for average. Then this function take a parameter of the student list of the scores. So it will be a list. Let's say score list, and we have a column. Then inside this board code block, you can perform any operation you want the student list to be performed using score list. You can say score list to find an average equals to, the formula is the total numbers divided by n. N is the length of the number. So here we can say we can first find length length of the courses. You recall that we use length function to find the length of iterative. So in this dictionary, when we put it, when we pass on the dictionary in the length function, it will return the length of that score. So here we are having uh, five items in it. So it will return five, which will be used to find the average. Let's say score list. Then when we declare our score list, the average will be equal to the score, the sum. You remember the sum function? Let's call it total. Then we found the average to avoid confusion. Total equal to the sum of score list, then the average will be total divided by the length. AVG equals to total divided by the length. Then we can return this okay, somebody is asking a question. Okay, someone answered it. So the average total, then we can return the AVG and the AVG variable. So each list we pass on to this function we created. This is the function we built. So each time we want to use this code to find an average, we will just call the function and pass on the list of scores, and it will give us the output we want. So let's try and run it with call it the function with the first student with first student data. So let's call it student avg is the name of the function. Then we pass student one list we created earlier and see what will be the output. You see the average score for that student is 41.0. If we run it also for the second student, student 2, its average is 49.8. We can also declare the list inside the function. Let's say instead of passing a variable, a list, we can just declare it here. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will treat it just like a variable. So, is there any question on this? Time is against us.
I think you should just upload the preferred notebook so that you can show them how to upload it and how to go through it. Later on, we'll share it via email so that they can use it to practice more.
Okay, sir. Ibrahim Hassan is asking, sir, have you declared AVJ? Let's see. As you can recall, declaration on assignment is allowed in Python. We don't need to declare variable before we can use it. We can just assign it during that assignment. It will be automatically declared and assign the value we give it to it. You can see here AVG, I didn't declare it. Total, I didn't declare it. I just assigned a value to it. Hope that's cleared your question, Ibrahim Hassan. So we have an interactive notebook that we already created earlier, which we will show you how you can upload it when you get the resource. If you upload it, you can play with it, and there is a built-in documentation on that. We will click on, you can see when we click on file, you can see there is option for new notebook, open notebook, upload notebook. You can click on upload notebook. It will give you an option either from your Google Drive, GitHub, or upload. So I have it as a file here. I will just go into my folder and upload it. You can see I just bring it called introduction to Python lab.ipynb. It's opening in new tab, so let me share it. Okay, Abraman Husseini raised his hand. Abraman, what's your question while I'm uploading the notebook? So you can see that this is an interactive. It have the documentation with it, Python object basic data type. It told you everything about it. Then here is the basic operation we perform. You will just need to run the code, play along with it, change the values, and see what will be the output. But first, when you upload it, you need to click on connect. If you connect, then you can start running your cells one by one, changing the values and see what is happening. If you have any doubt, there is a discussion group. Feel free to ask. Abrahman, you raise your hand. Is there any question or doubt? Okay.
Sorry, it's a
So,
mistake. No question.
okay, thank you. You can run it. We will share this file with you. There are a lot of examples on it. You will see, as you can see here, and also documentation. These are list and tuples example as we covered, list dictionary, and it explains. These are some of the built-in function, and we also cover some string object here. Then among the audience, someone asked me regarding uploading a a data frame using Excel file. Here we can see that let me try and upload some data file. As you can see from your right hand side, there is a menu. If you open the menu, there is a search, code, and file. When you click on the file, it will give you a virtual file manager integrated with the Colab system. You can upload your data here, and there you can see there is an access to sample data. We can use one of this data. You can see unscope.json. So let's try and use the pandas library to open and access data. So first we need to actually download the pandas package. We use pipe to install packages and external packages. So Python code. When you use an exclamation code, it means that you are running a code in the shell, not in the Python shell. So when you are trying to install an application using pipe, which is a Python package manager where you can download and install packages, external packages, you use exclamation, then you said pipe install, then pandas. That's the name of the library we are going to use. So the package you can see is already downloaded. It's already installed. So it said requirement already satisfied.
Yeah, I think pandas and numpy came in pre-installed in Colab. You don't need to install them.
Exactly. But when you are dealing with that, you will just need to change the package name here instead of pandas to the package you want to install in case you are having anyone. So here we will start writing the code. You remember import pandas as PD. And after we import it, then we can use it. We can say we can create a data frame equals to pd
So,
dot
someone
recall.
wants to ask question, or someone is raising his hand.
Okay, please, you can go ahead and
Yes, sir.
ask.
Please, I'm sorry, I missed some lines in uploading the data from the files.
Okay, do you mean the notebook or uploading a data?
Uploading a data.
Okay, uploading a data, as I've said, Colab has an integrated file manager, as you can see by the left of the screen. This is a file manager. You can create a folder, import from Google Drive, and also upload from your computer. If you have a data in your computer, you can click on upload here. You can see the upload symbol, upload to session. Here it will open your gallery and you can select the data you want to upload. So let me try and upload one or more Excel sheet here that I'm having. Okay, this you see it's showing a warning. Ensure that file are saved elsewhere because this session is temporarily. When the runtime exceed, your files will be deleted. So you can see I uploaded another data called commodity stock list. This is an Excel file. I just uploaded it. Is that clear your question?
Yes, thank you. It's clear.
So after uploading it, we can now utilize it, but you should take note that this is temporary. The file is temporary. It won't be saved permanently. After the session is terminated, you won't be able to retrieve the file. So it's advised to save your data elsewhere. So let's continue with the pandas. PD, as I have said, there are a lot of method in PD. You can see when you click on control space, it will show you all the method here. You can see API array and many more. There are thousands of them here. But we need to read a CSV file that is in sample data folder. Then we use dot read underscore CSV bracket, then we write the path of the file name, path and the file name. So you should note that the file is inside a folder called sample data. It's not directly in the same folder we are working on. So you need to first specify the folder name followed by slash, then the data we want to use. Here I will say sample data slash and the data we want to use. Let me check the data we have. Here we have means data test CSV. Let's use it. MNIST try test dot CSV. This will create a data import this data and create a data frame called DF. So it's executed. Recall that we don't usually open the whole data. We just need to see preview the head. There are some functions if you want to see information of your data. Let's see called df method with info. This will provide basic information regarding the data, the columns, the data type, and so on. So this is showing there is columns on it. It's a panda data frame, and the range index is between 99 to 98, and the memory usage is 59 MB. This is the basic information. When we use the Python head, the data frame dot head, we will see what is in the data. You can see it gives us the what are in the data, the first 5 rows, and this data is very huge, Matthew. There are a lot of columns. It says that there are 785 columns. That's why when we use info, it did not specify the columns because there are many.
I think it's an image that is converted into CSV. That's why it's ranging 785. You can try offloading California housing dataset. It is way lighter.
Okay, here we are having a California data. Let's uh upload the California housing test data. Let's see the info of this data. Okay, now you can see we have the number of columns. You see longitude, latitude, and it's not lone, and the data type, which are floating point, float 64. Latitude, housing, median age. So when we preview this data, you will see it in columns are all, and it's more readable as this. You can see these are the first 5 columns in the data. So this is how you upload. This is how you use the data you uploaded in using pandas. You can view it here, and also you can use it to pass it to your machine learning model, which we will see it later in the course long run. So is there any, okay, can you, okay, attendance, is there any question regarding uploading, opening file and importing data type in Panda? So we open the data, we view it. What if you want to export it? Pandas also support various type of data for export. This data we are using is in CSV. We can export it either in HTML, Excel file, CSV, or JSON, depending on the preference. So this is another trick for converting data from one data type to another. So let's try and import this data to maybe HTML and see if we can do it. Then we use to HTML to Excel to CSV, as you can see the function to latex, JSON, and so on. So I want to export this data as HTML. Then in bracket, I will put on the name, let's say California HTML. So California.html. If we do this, it will that will create a new file california.html in HTML format, and it will be saved in this our virtual file manager. When I refresh here, we are able to see that file. Look at it, California. We can download it, and by clicking here, download or rename file. And when you download it, you are able to view it in your computer. So this covers the lab session for introduction to Python. Be sure to interact, to play with the. Okay, I can't write it now. Be sure to play with the notebook prepared for your practical later on. I can't. You can ask your question.
Okay, my question is like if I want to export the data, so now I don't have to like put the path to which I want to export the data to,
Yes, you can
right?
put a path also, but I just want to leave it in the working directory here. If you want to upload it in sample data, you can specify sample data here, sample underscore data, and slash, let's say California 11. When we execute this one, it will save it in that directory. You can see when we refresh here, we are having it here, California 11.html.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, already we added almost 30 minutes over our time. So if there's any question, let's answer it. Then the lead facilitator will have a remark and we can call it a day.
Thank you, Python instructor, for this wonderful session. Uh, if there is any question or comment, this is the right time to make it. We'll share the lab notebook to you guys so that you can upload it to Colab later on and play with it. And then we'll send also the recorded video for further references. We'll share the slide as well for further references. If there is question, raise your hand and mute your mic and ask your question, make your comments. In the absence of any question, we'll give the weekly assessment. And this week assessment, okay, I have two people raising their hand, Usman Umar and Akanti. Usman Umar, go ahead. Hello.
I think Usman is on transit or is away.
Okay, so Akanti, make your comment or question. Go ahead.
my comment is with regard to the assessment, weekly assessment. I
Okay.
think it would be better to be sending it early, immediately after the
Okay.
class, so that uh, we
Okay.
have the rest to perform and upload for
Okay. Thank
the
you.
deadline.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. I think this week assessment is going to be about Python because we have covered introduction, or let's say an overview to Python programming language. This is prerequisite to the machine learning. It is very vital because as we dive into machine learning, if you don't know the syntax and the semantics of Python programming, you will find it difficult to understand some of the implementation of machine learning models and algorithms. So we feel like we have to spare a week to do this, maybe brief recap about Python programming, so that when we dive into machine learning, you'll find it easier to understand some of the code you'll find in your way. So this week assessment is going to be about Python also. I will share a link in the chat option to a Kaggle uh, learning platform, that is kaggle.com/learn/python. There is a brief course there, just 7 modules, and it's not a video module, it's just a text module. They cover what we cover in this class. They cover syntax, data types, construct, functions, and so on. Go through that tutorial so that you compare, you add to the foundation that you obtain in this week, and see if you can be able to finish the course before the next week. So the assessment is to finish this course and obtain a certificate of completion. It's a 7 module textual tutorial. It's not a video, and you can finish it in 1 hour. It's not difficult. It's just basic Python, numbers, syntax, functions, and so on. 1 page and then assessment. 1 page and then assessment. 7 pages altogether. When you finish it, they are going to issue you a certificate on finishing introduction to Python course. So we are interested in seeing a lot of people from this class getting that certificate of accomplishment. So as your weekly assessment, you go to this Kaggle Learn website, you complete the introduction to Python course, and you upload your certificate of completion in your assignment folder. That is the assessment. You go there, they will ask you about what we treated, what we did today. You complete it there, and then you obtain the certificate of accomplishment, and you upload it into your assignment folder. I think this way we are going to make double gain. You are learning, and as along the way you are picking some of the certifications that are coming in your way. So at least you will be getting to double benefits. You learn the Python in this class, and then you obtain the certificate of accomplishment elsewhere. And then when we cover another topic, we will see how we can match you with another certificate earning program, so that your knowledge in the class will help you earn that certificate along the way. So I think this is going to be an interesting assessment. Go there, take the course. You can finish it in an hour, get your certificate, and then upload it in your assignment folder. That is about the this week assessment. If you have any other comment, we can call it a day. And also, as Mr. Akanti suggested, we will send a follow-up email with the assignment instruction on how to go to the with the link on how to finish the course, and then how to get the certificate, and then you upload the certificate in your assignment folder. One of our co-workers will contact you, will reach out via an email with instruction on how to do so. So I'm just giving you a brief recap about this week assignment, how it's going to be, and then what it's going to be. So you should get prepared. And the deadline, mark you, the deadline for assignment submission is Friday, p.m. Friday, 11:59 p.m. Any assignment that is submitted after day is going to, we are going to assume that you have not made that week assessment submission. Friday,
Sorry, sir.
11.
With regards to that, is there going to be any means of identification or notification that your assignment has been received? Or there will be
Once
no
you
need
share
for
the
that?
folder, and then once you share the folder, the person that that is controlling the ML1 that someone has added a contribution to that folder.
All right, I understand, sir.
Spam and the date and everything. So we are encouraging you to make and get yourself ready for the task ahead. I think by the end of this week, we have finished prerequisite for this course. By the next week, we are going to start diving into the intricacies of machine learning. Is by next week, we have finished all the introductory aspect that we're supposed to cover in week 1 and 2. So we are diving into the business of the day by the next week. Yes, those that did not, I saw a question asking, what about those that did not participate last week? Last week was just an introductory session to the program, to the course in general. It was nothing technical per se. So we are waiving those that joined this week, we can carry along with you. We are waiving those that missed last week. But if you missed this week, I don't think we are going to accommodate you next week because you already missed a fundamental aspect of the course. And then as we dive into machine learning, if you don't have any Python background, you are going to be. I don't think this week mark the official beginning of this course. As of next week, we are not going to entertain any new enrollee. But you can log in and watch the lectures, but we are not going to assess, going to issue you maybe a certificate of completion towards the end of the course. So that is it. The course is free. You can watch anytime, but then to be part of our registered, then you need to be enrolled from this week. Someone is drop your name, phone number, and email in the chat option. We'll add you to just drop your name, phone number, email. Someone will add you up.
Sorry,
Any
sir.
other?
With regards to the attendance, is it going to be available after the class for
No,
marking the attendance?
not going to be available after the class.
All right, it's like some of us are yet to fill the
Maybe we'll
attendance
just give
forms.
a grace of 10 minutes after the class before we close the
Okay,
assessment
we'll
and
do.
the attendance form. Yeah, we'll give a grace of 10
Okay,
minutes.
okay.
All right. So, in the absence of any further question, I think we'll call it a day. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Mr. Sadiq Aliyu, for this interesting tutorial on Python. I think we'll see you next week, inshallah. Have a nice day.